Hey there, it's Sandy, and I have a Babylock Solaris 3, which is the same as a Vision, and I'm on a journey to learn about edge-to-edge quilting. And so tonight I am actually quilting my first quilt. So I've pieced it together, and I've got a sandwich all loaded into my, let's see, it's like 10 5/8 by 16 dime magnetic hoop. Yesterday I created a video that showed how I set everything up as far as a summary of how I created the sandwich and how I set up the machine to do the edge to edge. So tonight I'm retrieving that pattern from memory because I shut down my machine last night and now I want to retrieve it and use it for quilting. So hopefully it will work this time, as I have been having trouble with the thread that I picked. So I'm hoping that it will work this time because I adjusted the tension. I'm going to go into embroidery on the screen. And then I'm going to go into the pocket, which is where I saved it. And I will try to get you in close, but I can't only go a certain amount because it's just my phone camera. This first one is where I saved it last, so I'll pick that one. And then this screen shows up with 20. Do I want all 20 items hooped? Like, do I want the system to show me and guide me through the hooping process of the 20 hoops that it determined it needed? And I would say yes. I'm going to pick that one because the other ones will guide you, but it's in a different way. So I'm going to see what happens when I use the hoop that I'm using, 10 5/8 by 16, and then 20 times versus any of these others. So this first one, and I'm pressing set. Now it's going to give me a couple of messages. Begin sewing from the upper left corner of the fabric. Attach the embroidery frame in the initial sewing position, which I've already done that. And so I'll press OK on the screen. Then it shows use the move pattern keys to align the upper left corner of the pattern area with the upper left corner marking of the area to be embroidered. So it's just showing me that I can angle this and get the angles right so that my first square starts off at the right angle and I can go across and rehoop it consistently at that angle. So I'm going to say OK on this screen, and the machine will move me to the top, and that's where it will begin to show me the red lines in the projector. There's one here and then there's one way up there. I want to move it down so I can actually see these red lines. Here's one here and one here. And that's supposed to be over in the corner more. So I'm going to move it over. But I'm not going to move it too much because it looks like it's angling. It looks like it's angling, let's see, this way. So I'm just going to move it here so I can see the top line and this line. And then when I get to the screen where it lets me angle things, I'll do it there. Now it's showing use the rotate keys to adjust the angle of the pattern while keeping an eye on the points around the pattern. So I press OK. And here is the red line, and there's a red line here. And I can use this buttons on my screen. Let's see, over here. Let's see. So these help me to navigate, like move the hoop around so I can see where the lines are in the hoop. These will show me, like, allow me to adjust the angles. So I'm going to go back to here. You can kind of see, maybe you can't, that it's already projecting the pattern, the leaf pattern that's going to quilt. But what I'm more interested in now is this line here. And it looks like it's, yes, it's angling down a little bit. So I want it to go up. Let's see here. Yeah, it looks like it's adjusting good. And then I'm going to go to the corner and see how it looks there. So here it looks good. When I go to the middle of the hooping, it looks like it needs to go down, maybe more. Okay, then I'm going to go down to here, very bottom of the hoop, make sure that still looks okay. Yeah, that looks good. I'm gonna go back to the top. Yep. I'll go over to the middle of the top. See, the fabric looks like it's kind of stretched upwards. So I don't think it's going to be perfect, but then I can go to the middle. And I think I'm more concerned about this part, that it stays on the fabric. It looks like it's going to line up good because it's going straight up. So I think I got the angles right. So I'm pressing OK, and we'll see how it sews out this time. Got the green light. As you can see, there's some stitching that I'll have to take out, as I had trouble with my thread. It kept breaking, and so I thought, well, I'm going to switch the needle, because I was hearing the weirdest noise when I started to embroider. And I switched the needle, rethreaded it, and thank God it's stitching good now. Something must have happened to that needle. I changed my tension of my thread too, because this thread is very, very fine. And I think it's like 80 or 90 weight. And so I think I have it at like -2. So it's a combo of a new needle and changing the thread tension. It looks like the tension's okay. Hopefully you can see okay. And it shows that for this whole thing to stitch out, it should only take 3 minutes. And I debated whether I should do this leaf pattern, and I think that's going to be a good decision because the thread is so fine that it's nesting in fabrics pretty well. Oh, I might have touched the screen by accident with the fabric. I'm just holding up the quilt while it does the embroidery. And I don't know if you watched the other video, but when I set up this pattern, I told the machine I only wanted it to do 1 stitching instead of 3. I did not want the quilting pattern to be so obvious on top of this busy pattern already. I just wanted it to quilt the sandwich together, just doing 1 set of stitches versus 3. I gotta kind of hold on to this quilt too, because I don't want to rip out all this stitching. I'm not a big quilter, I am learning, but I can see how this very wide neck, on the machine helps quilters. So it is done. Well, no, it's not done. It ends on that side. I thought that was where it was going to end. I guess it's just doing that little... Okay, now it's done. And now it's asking me, embroidery is finished. Okay to connect to the next pattern. And so I say, okay. and it shows me, please wait a while. Now it's telling me the same thing. Please rehoop the fabric to the right side while including the right edge of the pattern on the left in the hoop. So I'll say, okay. Okay, now this is pretty much the same. So this is where I'm going to back up. And we'll do 2 hoopings tonight. This is where I can actually take this hoop, put it over the top, move it over, and now I'm going to rehoop it. I have to make sure that I get it over far enough so that it can see where it left off, the area where it left off. So bear with me while I do this part, because I've only done edge to edge one other time, and it was for a border. And now this one is for a quilt. And I'm going to have to line it up, so you got to make sure when you put the fabric into the hoop that it's not too high or too low, because where you line it up is where it will begin to sew the next row. I'm going to take out this pin. Okay, and there's another one way up there. Okay, so now I'm going to try to make sure that it looks straight in the hoop. So I'm going to pull it up a little bit and down. And now what I want to do is see if this is the last area it left off over here. So what I got to do is make sure that it lines up okay. So it moves me over, and then I have to tell it where I want it to start. So it's, if you see that, there's a little green cross right. Let's see if my pointer is around when I need it. Right here. And so what I need to do is line that up over here and make sure that it's straight angle wise. And once I get that, I make sure that I pinch this frame to make sure that it's actually together the way it should be. That's a really important thing. If I back up a little, you don't want to start embroidering if this frame is not seated on top. The top is not seated on top of the bottom correctly, because if you don't, the bottom is way up here, you could break your needle, you could do a lot of damage to your machine. So I've already done that check. I've done the check on the sides. Everything feels good. A little bit more squeezing up there. I think we got it. So now all I have to do is hopefully move it over and down. Okay. So I'm going to move you in. I don't know if you can see that green. Here's the edge of the last design. This is the very end of the design, and the green cross goes like that. I'm lining it up to stitch again right there so it will connect. I took out all of the safety pins. I think we're okay. So I press OK. Now it's asking me, you want to check your angles. So I think I'm going to say OK and just do that check one more time. Okay. So I'm going to use the buttons on the machine again to make sure I see the red line. Okay, the red line looks okay here. We'll go to the middle. I still see the red line. I still see the red line. And so I think the angles look good. I'm going to press OK. And I think we're ready to go already. See how it's going right where I left it, where I told it to go. And I think I'm just going to make sure this is pulled taut. Yep. Okay. Now it's on frame 2 already. So I can see how this could be 20 rehoopings because we're on 2. Probably going to ask for 2 more at least across the top. I think it's 4 across the top, if I remember right. And since, you know, it takes a while to go through this whole edge-to-edge process, that I'm just going to do, I'm going to pause this because I see this little part here is a little bit goofy. I'm making sure I don't like pull it out of the hoop. Some people actually baste it down before they start. I don't know if I have the patience to do all of that, but we'll see. We'll see how this turns out. Maybe next time. Thankfully, the tension looks good. I'm still using a Chrome 1490 needle. So it shows we have 1 more minute to go. And then I'll go through the same process 2 more times to get across to the top. And then actually when you get to the corner of the top, it will, I think it prompts you to adjust the width of the pattern so that it will either stretch to fit to that right corner or shrink to fit to the right corner. But it's got it all figured out. You just have to read the machine and follow the steps. That's why I picked the first one. I think the other screens lead you through a little differently. We're already at 18 minutes, so it's probably a good thing that we stop after this one, and then I'll continue on tomorrow night, I think. Get across the top, and that should give people a good flavor for how this works, especially me. And then unless I get a lot of feedback about watching more of it besides doing the top row, I will probably just do the rest offline and not record it. So if you like what I'm doing, subscribe, like, and make a comment, and let me know if you want me to show you the whole thing by making, you know, 1 video for every 2 hoopings, or just the first top row. Embroidery is finished. Okay to connect to the next pattern. So I'm going to leave it here, but what I would love to do is like show you what it's done. I think it's done a really good job, and I think I've done a really good job of telling the computer, you know, where to start. So I will continue this journey tomorrow. I'm just going to leave it with the prompt asking me, embroidery is finished, okay to continue to the next pattern. And I'll start again tomorrow. Thank you for watching.